we're working on the, basically the main issues that we were talking about before is that, members are not allowed to carry on discussions directly with one another. Member has the floor, and that includes in the chat. And just in a debate, a member cannot reflect adversely on any prior act or also on an individual. So these are things that we have called out, and the chair has done a job to do that. And we were just, one of the things that we pulled together, which I hope I don't have to go through, are some of the consequences which are outlined in Robert's rules. And so I have those sections. If anyone's interested, I can tell you where they are, but it's basically towards the end of this document and page, I can tell you. It starts on page 860. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that to our attention. And that's it. I'm going to turn it back over to Nola.
Okay, and so I've also, as a result of needing to have some more to deal with the consequences around folks that
we just made our first offer letter, and the top candidate in marketing accepted, and we're now in the second offer letter is in progress. So two searches are almost done. And the business college, they are always early, right? Their cycle is always early, so this is normal timeline for them. So everything is moving along. And then on the enrollment report, let's see, Mario, do you have the new? Okay, that's the latest one. Okay, thank you. So the first slide is showing you that as a system, we are improving. As you know, a lot of our campuses have been losing enrollment, right, in recent years. Some as much as 40% in campuses like Sonoma. But this year, they seem to have stabilized. And in fact, this year, the numbers are showing that they're inching up by about 2% as a system. So that's also helped by four campuses that are taking more and more of the load. So including us and Long Beach and Fullerton and SLO. So that's good news. So we, as a system, we're improving. Next slide. Okay, so this is a little different from what I submitted, but anyway, the first year students, our numbers are improving for URM, Hispanic, first gen and Pell students, and our 4-year graduation rates, commuter students had the largest gain, with rates increasing by about 10% points. And also transfer students at record levels after 2 years. So we have those 2-year graduation rates going up by nearly 3 points to 62%. So those are really improving. And all our underrepresented students have seen higher rates, including Pell, first gen, all the other groups. Next slide. So spring enrollment, as you can see, we're about the same as last spring. No, I meant our projected spring 25 is about the same as spring of 2024, roughly. And the biggest difference here is the graduate portion, 191 is much bigger than last spring. So, but overall, we're about the same in terms of spring admissions. And we're definitely higher than spring of 22 and 23. So things are also higher and more stable. Okay, next slide. All right, so this is a table for spring transfer applications for 2025. Okay, and these are applications, right? So broken down by college, and you can see how many applications on the first column and how many admitted, 476 total, and intent to enroll about 364. So we're projecting about 320 will be enrolled on the yellow column, as you can see there, and that's about a little lower than what we had last spring of 24. Okay, so we've been trying to manage our enrollment so that we can all manage increasing numbers of students coming in. Now, next slide for the graduate students for spring 2025. The first column again is the applications, and then the admitted number 236. Intent to enroll about 212. So we are going to be higher, 191 in the yellow column compared to last spring, a lot lower. Remember last year we had all kinds of issues with graduate application processing because of my SDSU issue. The entire year basically fall and spring for graduate students. So things are improving. We're back to roughly about a normal level. Okay, next slide. So this one is looking ahead for fall 2025 application trends, right? And so as you can see, it's very early. Okay, we are almost a year ahead right now. Well, 10 months ahead. So these numbers are just rough estimates, right? And you can see broken down for credential, global campus, graduates, and so on. And so we're expecting applications still going up. For graduate student, maybe about 16%, and very early estimates, okay? And for undergraduates, at the bottom, we're showing about 6.9% higher than last year. So basically, as you remember, overall, we have almost 119,000 applications, right, for this academic year. So we'll be higher next year with these if these numbers keep up. Okay, so we might have more than 120,000 applications for next year. So that's good. We're very popular, and we're getting all these really good students applying to our programs. So that's all the numbers I have for today. Thank you.
Are there any questions, comments? Chair Beljohn, you're recognized.
Thank you. I have a practical question, and I hope this falls under you. So we had a college-wide meeting in the sciences, and our dean mentioned that there might be a staff freeze, that no new staff can be hired. I don't know. He said he could probably beat it or whatever. So I was wondering if such a staff freeze is in the making. I'm saying this related to issues that CBL is looking in, is in that when a staff member would like become a chair of a senate, if it's always as easy to fill a staff position as it is to fill a lecture faculty position, because I've never heard of considerations of a lecturer freeze. So, but my question basically is a staff freeze considered, and can you answer that?
No, we don't, we're not freezing any right now, but we are, you know, as needed, right? It all depends on, student demand and which departments, needs, staff support or lecturer support or anything else. You know, we're looking at case by case, but we still have to deal with university-wide $30 million budget cuts, right? We still have to look at that, but we are looking at case by case, and some departments, some colleges have a lot of student demand, so we're not blanket freezing anything.
Thank you, and thank you for that decision.
Thank you. Chair Hinchell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair Butler-Bird, and thank you, Provost Tong. I wanted to ask you a question related to the first part of your presentation, related to tenure track hiring. At our most recent URMP meeting about a week and a half ago, we learned from AVP McCall, and then it was kind of confirmed and elaborated on by a couple of the administrators who serve on URMP, that the means by which tenure track departures, separations, retirements, et cetera, either stay in a college or go back to academic affairs seems to have been changing over the last few years. If I understand it, and so everybody else in the Senate can kind of know what I'm talking about, Interim Provost Johnson, somewhere around 2018, 2019, started a procedure where 80% of the separations would stay in the college and 20% would go to academic affairs. And then what we learned recently at URMP is that in recent years, it's shifted to 50-50, staying in the college or going back to academic affairs. And that there was a plan that had recently been communicated to the college deans that for next year's hiring cycle, all of the hiring will be sort of done from academic affairs with none of the separations staying in a college. Can you just kind of explain that, elaborate on it, just so we're sure that URMP has it correct?
Yes, absolutely. And the next year we're facing potentially additional 9.4% cut coming from the state. So we don't know how serious things will be yet. So we are just considering every option right now, right? But what's more important is, you know, academic affairs not interfering with college ranking right now, right? The colleges individually can still rank them. It doesn't matter whether you call it college money or centrally funded lines. And in the past, we have two lists, and now we want to maybe think of which is one list. But college lines are still prioritized if that's how they want to prioritize them, right? So colleges still have their own way of ranking their lines. So that won't change, right? That won't change. Right? We will still, and this year we follow more or less the college ranking, and I suspect that next year, doesn't matter what the situation is. The total number of lines may be different, right? Depending on the budget, but in terms of priority, we definitely want to respect the college share governance process. right? And they have a really, all the colleges have really good process in terms of ranking all the lines. So
Thank you. Senator Sharma, you're recognized.
My question is about the global campus enrollment. I see it was not very large number last year plus this, so how it is going to be a profitable unit considering the budget cut?
Yes, so these numbers are really early, right? And yes, there is a dip in global campus, but this is 10 months ahead, right? So that's why I said these are really early numbers. They will improve, I'm sure. In future months, I'll give you more updated numbers.
Thank you. Senator Pappen, you're recognized.
Yes, Provost Tong. I know you're not the chair of the tenure track planning committee, but I was wondering if you know when they're going to meet again, their next meeting.
I don't know.
I can answer that question. I'm the chair of the tenure.
That's right.
It will be soon. Very soon.
Well, good. So, Chair Butler Bird, if I was to send you something, I just wanted to make sure I got it to you in time before your next meeting.
It'd be great if you could send us sometime next week, because we will be meeting probably the week after that.
Okay, good timing. Thank you.
You. I did have a question, Interim Provost Tong, and that's, although I just see, okay. And that is about the shooting that occurred last week. If you could give us some updates about what happened and the challenges, because I attended a department meeting earlier today, and there were folks that were really pretty upset.
Yes, I heard, unfortunately that day I was out of town, but I know that Vice Provost,
Here
Sonia,
she is.
Sonia was here and perfect timing. And the thing is, I understand, I heard a few things about some folks not being able to get back in or go out. And yes, I heard about those. And in fact, we talked about this briefly at the Academic Dean's Council yesterday. And we're gonna invite Josh and Chief and Officer Peterson and all the folks to maybe do more of these trainings with more departments. I know that when I was chairing the chemistry department, we did a lot of those every year training. So Officer Peterson's really good. He would come in and say, what would you do in this and that, in this situation and that situation? We should have more of those, definitely. And at the next Academic Affairs Leadership meeting, we're gonna invite them to come and tell us, and we'll send out more recommendations to the departments. And also Council of Chairs and Directors meeting coming up in a couple of weeks. We will talk about those. Yeah.
I think it would be great too if they could come to the Senate again. I know he was just here, but an update would be great.
Yes.
I did want to thank, Sonia, I wanted to thank you for responding to my call, because Mario was locked out of his office and couldn't get in that day.
And we are having a full debrief on the events of that entire day with all of the parties and kind of lessons learned. So it was a combination of many things on that day that, it's some of those things you plan for these things. And then it's when emergencies happen that you see some of the flaws in the plan and then can do better in the next time. So we will be doing that. So if anybody has any specific instances of things that maybe you haven't elevated to folks, then please feel free to share them with me and to extend to Mario and to countless others. I mean, students, faculty, et cetera, that they couldn't get into the buildings because their keys were other places. And so in communication, I think there were attempts to get out communication as quickly as possible. So far, I mean, the emergency team has been looking into every instance of someone where somebody said, I didn't receive an email or a text, to make sure that people are actually signed up, with the Safe app, or that, there weren't transposing of phone numbers, like numbers when people were entering them into the computer. Some of the ones that we have looked into, those have been instances that we've seen. But it was a time that grateful for so many of the people who were able to step up, and sorry to so many that there were logistical complications in light of the events, and continue to do better.
Thank you. There are a couple of hands raised. I don't know if it has anything to do with that, but I'll follow. Senator Schellenberg, you're recognized.
Roseanne, thanks for the hiring thing. So at 80 to 20, from an 80-20 to a 50-50 is a pretty substantial shift. You mentioned that the rankings within colleges would be sort of retained and honored, but this does introduce the public a much greater heterogeneity of distribution of those resources. So is that still going to be sort of arbitrated through the tenure track planning process, where deans are involved? And are you also expecting maybe a decrease in departures that's going to squeeze that resource down even more? Just, I guess, maybe the rationale, just to push the details without all.
Yeah. So the key thing is during budget challenging years, right? The key thing is how many total lines can we actually have? And that's the number I'm fighting for. I want to have as many lines as possible. And then that way it will protect, because the deans rank them anyway, right? The college lines and the central lines, we rank them anyway. So the last 4 or 5 years that I've been involved with this process, we have never veered away from that original ranking that much, and sometimes at all. So that will still be followed and respected, no matter what the total line might be. If the total lines are fewer, and for some reason because of budget situation, then the approved list might be shorter, right? And we may not have as many lines. But this year I tried everything to squeeze everything else so that we have as many tenure track lines as possible, because I know that it is one of the most important things that we have to protect, because as a lot of you know, it takes 2 years, right? We start planning for tenure track hires 2 years ahead, almost 2 years ahead. So it takes time to steer, and we want to make sure we're doing it the right way.
Thank you, Senator Venkataraman. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Provost Tong, want to get some clarification from you on a recent decision you and AVP McCall made regarding curricular matters without consultation of the college. This had to do with the CalGETC changes. College of Engineering, in anticipation of these changes, with great deliberation at both department and college level curriculum committees, came up with changes, only to be told by AVP McCall that in consultation with you, she is summarily rejecting all proposals from the College of Engineering. This is unheard of. This is not shared governance. So I'm going to give you, and if you want, Dr. McCall, also a chance to defend your action.
Okay, I can explain. The issue was the 3 units, right? That every college is wanting to use, and we are simply asking, wait another year. We're not saying don't do it. We're not saying you can't do it. Okay, just we don't have all the guidelines from the chancellor's office yet. So I talked to. After that email went out, the dean talked to me. So I talked to the dean and the associate dean, Yusuf, and we explained to them, we're not saying AVP McCall is not saying we're not doing it. We're just asking them to wait 1 year until we get all the guidelines and how we can actually use those 3 additional units. All the other colleges are waiting, so we're asking engineering to wait. That's all.
Well, this is not just a matter of you communicating to the dean and associate dean. This is a slap in the face to all the faculty who served on those department curriculum committees and the college curriculum committees. This is highly disrespectful of the work that we did in careful deliberation of considering how we change our curriculum.
Right. The message was not don't do it or you can't do it. It's just wait 1 year. That's the message, and that should have been more clear. Because we still don't have all the guidelines. Okay, so all the other colleges are waiting. They also want to do the same thing, but we don't have the clear guidelines yet. So we're just asking to wait until we have all the guidelines.
We'll wait to see.
Thank you. Senator Lozano Santon, you recognize?
Thank you. I just wanted to bring up 2 things, and I'm behind where everybody else is discussing, but it's having these 2 wonderful people present right now on the incident that did occur. The 2 things I wanted to bring up on behalf of individuals that and faculty that have to deal with the explanations from students that live in the dorms that were impacted by the electricity going out. As an assistant dean for student affairs in my college, I've been dealing with that. Because they weren't able, A, to take tests, B, to do an assignment, and the possibility of making sure that somehow somebody sends out a communication to all faculty. And the reason I say that is because we have a lot of adjunct and lecturers and so forth that may not have been on campus. I can't believe somebody wouldn't have seen it in the news, but isn't aware of the fact that things happened with the fire and so forth. And the closing of buildings, that it does impact in particularly the students that live on campus. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that a message can go out. It would be much appreciated for everybody's understanding and workload, and in particular on behalf of our students. The other thing is, I have attended in my 34 years here at San Diego State many of those wonderful trainings. And as someone that works in the building of Lambton Hall, and that the doors open out, they've actually educated many of us that take the training that a simple tie, I don't know the term exactly because I'm not in I don't use them, but that those plastic hard ties, if you could at least have them in the rooms, faculty trained to put that over the opening of the door would not allow a psychotic individual that's rushing through trying to get into doors for a high, injury count. Then they couldn't open the door. So that's just something I really have, before I retire, I would really appreciate you all considering that and speaking to the chief of police, because he's the one that trained us. That it's that simple for the doors that open out as opposed to the ones, that you can hold on. Or is it the opposite? It's the opposite. But the point is, if you can't hold on to the door to not allow somebody to come in, it's a problem unless you can keep tight the mechanical thing that opens up. And it's a very easy solvable thing. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. I'll convey the message. And we'll be meeting with them a lot in the next week and two. Yes, thank you, Jason.
Thank you. Senator Sharma, you're recognized.
My question is about, since about the faculty lines will be impacted because of budget. How about sabbatical approvals? Are they going to be impacted, or are there no such thing?
Well, yes, we are actually reviewing that right now, and that's another thing I want to protect. the 30 million cut that we're facing is real, right? And it is very difficult, but tenure track lines and sabbatical are the two things that I really want to protect. So I'm trying to save it as much as possible. I don't know yet. Okay, and but we will protect it as much as possible, and that's why I'm trying to save it somewhere else, so that we can have the sabbaticals, as many of them as possible. Yes.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any other hands raised, so we want to thank you, Interim Provost Tom, for your report. Also, it's been brought to my attention that we have two new ex officio alumni here with us, and I think, is this Mark Inch? Did I pronounce that perfectly? I did. Wow, that's weird. And also Jerry Whitmer. Whitmer, welcome to the Senate. It's an exciting adventure thus far. All right, so thank you. We're gonna move on to our last agenda item, which is the Associated Students President's Report. President Hernandez, you're recognized.
Hello, thank you. Give me just a second. I have to close my blinds. I forget that there's a glare. Okay, turning on my camera, sorry. Okay, there we go. Hopefully you can all see and hear me okay.
We can.
Okay, thank you. Hello everyone. I hope you're having a good Thursday. I have a bit to go over, so I'll try to do it as timely as possible. So I've been working pretty much around the clock as things have been pretty busy in Associated Students right now. I'll just start with our initiatives. So first I'll talk a bit about Rock the Vote. So we initially had a presidential election watch party event that we were supposed to host on election day on Tuesday. However, it was canceled as it was supposed to consist of a panel and educate students on just the paradigms of elections. However, all but one faculty member canceled last minute, so we had no choice but to cancel because it wouldn't have been a productive or I guess educated event, because we just didn't have enough time to restructure it the way it could be as sensitive as possible, because we just recognize that if something like a panel completely falls apart at the last minute, there's just so many opportunities for insensitivities to occur in a short amount of time. So we just decided not to open that, and we just canceled it, unfortunately. And because of that, we'd love to help promote any post-election resources for students. I personally haven't been looped in on any specific projects. I've heard multiple departments are working on things, but past that, I don't have adequate information to disperse to students. So please let me know over email if you have anything tangible that students can refer to. Yeah. Next, we have Aztecs Rock Hunger. So Aztecs ARH is coming to a close, and a question was asked in the past if we still do. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we wanted, I guess for the Rock the Vote initiative, we really just wanted to provide a safe space for students to come and learn about the election and watch all of the results in a safe space, because a lot of people, like, I guess, struggle to open up about those things. So we were hoping to just have like a safe space where students can just be students and learn more. But hopefully in the future, we get to try that again. But yeah, ARH is coming to a close, and the question was asked if we can still do food donations. We do them, however, we only collect them in the Associated Students office on the 3rd floor of the student union. And we don't discourage food donations, but monetary is kind of where we're leaning towards over the past few years, just because that money goes to the food bank that funds and provides all of our food for the food pantry that we use on campus, and ECRT. Next, for Your Voice Matters. So if someone doesn't know what Your Voice Matters is, that's where we collect any input from students in an ongoing Google form that they can give feedback at any time. And we've received about 8 submissions towards the events on Halloween alone, and have been collecting feedback and recommendations from students organically on what they feel like could have been done better that day. We didn't specifically open the floor for like uncivil criticism, but our board of directors have prepared some recommendations that I think would be very helpful. And so I've been in a few meetings where I was able to bring up a lot of those recommendations, and that kind of transitions into our safety goal. So on November 21st from 12 to 1:30, I'm hosting the Campus Safety and Wellness Town Hall, co-facilitated by Dr. Manning and I. And we invited at least 6 different departments to either present or sit on a Q&A panel. And we've had to restructure the event a couple times as I began planning it before the Halloween events took place, and it was more structured towards the incident motivated by hate on campus and mental health resources. So some of that content wouldn't be as appropriate for the current times, given what happened on Halloween. So we've been working more towards telling the story of what happened on that day, what's the process of incident reporting on campus, and working on receiving input on how to best address these issues from the student perspective. And so we've been working on all of that. And if you're interested in attending, I do encourage it. And that is all I have from AS.
Well, thank you for your report and all that you're doing, President Hernandez. Are there any questions or comments from anyone? All right, I do know that the College of Education is offering several healing circles. I'll get that information to you after the meeting, specifically for students.
Thank you so much.
All right. So now I would like to go back